All right, so once again, I'm live coming in. Wow, it's been a crazy week. I will say that. Crazy week. Rain. I would say this. I ran on my running on fumes, man. Week was it was up, down. It was some tragedies, some good and some bad. I would say that. It's a lot going on. Let's put it like that. But through it all, I'm still, let's see how I'm gonna do this. So we got a lot of flooding. He's on my plane crash and all that stuff, but start here.
241 people died, but one man on board miraculously survived, seen right here, bloodied but alive. It was after a Boeing 787, you see it there, crashed shortly after takeoff. You can see it right here quickly losing altitude, then falling into the horizon, and then the ball of fire billowing from the wreckage. The plane's tail wedged into a building. Other parts of the plane everywhere you look as first responders rush to the scene in a cloud of chaos. Senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation for us, and he leads us off.
Caught on camera the moment Air India Flight 171 lifted off from Ahmedabad in western India, headed for London Gatwick Airport. But only 600 feet off the ground, it quickly lost altitude and crashed in a horrific ball of fire. Dark black smoke billowing from the nearby neighborhood. Video captured the immediate aftermath as firefighters rushed in. Overhead, this striking image, the plane's tail sticking out of the side of a building as rescue teams frantically searched for victims.
Very tragic and very, very horrific. And even till now, I have to say I'm in a state of shock.
Local authorities say the plane crashed into a medical college hostel just as students were eating lunch. Dozens injured, at least 5 thought to have died. Out of the 242 people on board the plane, the local police say only a single passenger was able to walk away. Viswash Kumar Ramesh, a British national sitting in exit row window seat 11A and traveling with a brother who is still missing. Another brother in the UK spoke to Sky News.
He video called my dad. As he crashed, he said, "Our plane's crashed." All of that. I don't know where my brother is. I don't see any other passengers. I don't know how I'm alive, how I exited the plane.
On board, passengers from India, the UK, Portugal, and Canada. The first crash ever involving the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a plane with a stellar reputation and 1,100 in service worldwide. Already, veteran investigators are looking at this video of the plane taking off and noticing that the flaps on the back of the wings do not appear to be extended.
Without flaps and slats extended, the wing cannot produce enough lift at low speeds.
The nose of the plane is pointed up, indicating a possible aerodynamic stall, and the landing gear remains down well past the point it should have been retracted. Air India says the captain had 8,200 hours of flight experience, the first officer 1,100 hours. One of them radioed a mayday, but it's not clear who was piloting the plane.
This is a difficult day for all of us at Air India, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers crew members, their families, and loved ones.
While Indian investigators will be in charge, British and American NTSB and FAA investigators will assist. Boeing says it is cooperating with the investigation. Of critical importance, the plane's flight data and cockpit voice recorders may provide the clues into what went wrong.
And Tom Costello joins us now. Tom, tonight everyone is asking the same question. Are there any theories on why this one passenger survived?
Yeah, and it may be hard to know right now. This is where he was, seat 11A. This is the emergency exit, and this is business class. Was he catapulted out of the plane when it hit that building? We don't know, but experts say there is not one single seat that is always the safest because it depends where the plane impacts with the terrain, Tom.
Tom Costello leading us off tonight. Tom, we thank you. We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel. But first,
in a recent CBS News poll, 2 out of 3 Americans told us they're
So yeah, this is about what's up, man? How you doing, man?
You're just chill. It's hot as hell out here. How you doing, man?
It was very humid today.
Yeah.
Now it's been raining like a thunderstorm the last 4 hours, something like that. I fell asleep for a while. It's been humid. Been on the move for a weekend.
Interesting.
Week was highs and lows. It was great on some issues and not great on others.
Yeah, just like it feels. It's hot out here, but it's like it's not. I got the little blower fan on, but it ain't too hot in the house. You know what I'm saying? So if I go out, I know it'll be hotter outside, but I got to worry about them days where it's going to be hotter in the house. You know what I'm saying? Man.
Well, I got a fan on, matter of fact, but, it's just been, like I said, it's been a wild week, So let's start with it. So, of course, the week was Wednesday. I went to summer camp, as I told you, which is great. Some people got a little, I would say, upset. They're not upset, but they were just saying, "Well, dang, BJ, you really going? You can let us know." I said, "Man, I just get up and do stuff. Man, I don't really worry about it, right?" But to my buddy, he was like, "Yeah, they were going Friday." So, now there are some people I know that went down there from radio stations stuff trying to get more of the girls in the camp because what he went down there, he went down and talked about HVAC, drywall, sheetrock and drywall, plumbing, well, not plumbing, sheetrock, drywall, and he actually, come think about it, the AC was messed up in there, so he actually had to show him how to, change the HVAC and all that stuff, or put the filter in and things like that. So that was good for the boys to learn. So now maybe I have to get some ideas of seamstresses or something in there, or something to that level sooner or later, maybe. We'll see. All right. That was the great day. Was I with football player Anthony Harris from Richmond, Virginia. He was there too. They had a football camp and chili thing that day. They got a coach that's helping them out. Guy I know very well. I used to coach John Marshall. So they had them, they helping on the summer camp together. They got a computer room, game room, reading, indoor basketball. They got a lot of things in there. I mean, it was great. I mean, I say this, I'm sending another buddy there, and he's a realtor. You can talk about real estate and stuff. Just some things to do. The kids were laughing because they were like, y'all didn't have all this read. I said, no, Reed was outside all the time. We didn't have a lot of indoor activities. We was at summer camps, to be honest. We was outside. But so that was cool. Then I get into Friday morning, 7:01, get a text. So everything ready to go for my party on Saturday, June 14th. Lady was having a party at Fort Lee Military Base. I told you about that, right? 60th birthday and retirement party at the same time. It was absolutely fantastic, brother. I have to say this. It was fantastic. But they actually helped me. And I'm going to tell you how they helped me. I've got to talk to her, as I always do, at 7 o'clock in the morning. On some Fridays, I would always stop at my barber shop. You know the one I told you about where they did right beside the crab shop where they tried to rob the employee last week. I showed that to you. Mm-hmm. And I stopped in there. I said, dang, what the hell is my man at, Alvin? I ain't seen him, talked to him a couple months, and I sent him all these pictures the other day of the campus and stuff. And he used to be like, BJ, man, I got to give it to you. You the man. As a matter of fact, one other guy, he told me, man, just by watching that video that you had, he said, man, I got to tell you something. He said, you motivated me to get off my ass. He was like, I'm 60 years old and I shouldn't even be asking you for help. But he like, I got to lose this weight. My wife been cooking too good. He like, the fact that you talking about you 144 pounds at 37, he like, man, you motivated me. But he would always tell me, this guy taught me, about black men playing golf and baseball and other areas that you could do things besides just basketball and football. Bob, I'm talking about him. Knew him since 3 years old. So I'm on the phone, So I said, dang, wait, am I late or something? I mean, he usually here at 7 o'clock on Friday. A lot of people come get their haircut on Friday early, Weekend people get their haircut earlier, that. Right? But I'm on there. I pick up the phone. His wife answers the phone. I said, hey, how you doing, man? My name's Bernard. So she was like, I was talking now, and she was like, young man, he's been dead since April 9th. We buried him on April 23rd. I said, dang, I didn't know nothing about it for all this time. So Friday was kind of like a day where it was like up, down, what the hell? And if I had more time to put my stand in, DJ, I probably wouldn't have did it yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. But I had already, and the lady had texted me at 7:01. I said, you know what? Then coincidentally, another person texted me and said, hey, can you do a repass for my brother's homegoing services tomorrow? Funeral or whatever. I said, no, I already got this scheduled. So now I'm feeling kind of, pressy, like, this person asking you that you want to do this for them, and then you already dealing with this. So, so I get on base about 4 o'clock. No, 3 o'clock. Right. Haven't been there on this military base in years. They used to have a club on base. You should go there all the time. Get there. I'm chilling. Right. Get there. You got to bring your ID to the gate. This you got to go through checkpoints, all this stuff, to get on base. Right. That. I said, man, this place looks different in the day when you go through there. Get there, set up, chill. They had speeches, gave tributes to the lady. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Nice stuff. Great. She was fantastic. Even had ladies say, I remember you DJ my wedding 3 years ago. You DJ my wedding. I mean, I said, yeah, I did. I remember DJ your wedding. And she came up to me and talked. So, but I told her, look, it's been a week. I'm glad to do your event. Y'all actually gave me life by being here. Because by being here, right, I was able to kind of like get back to the great things of the week and not think about what I didn't know. So sometimes it take other people to kind of like get you back in your flow a little bit. I was okay, but I'm just saying, like, dang, because the guy that passed, me and him, I've been knowing since 3, and for me not to know that kind of like, but like I said, I ain't never met his wife or anything, so it is what it is, and I wish the family well, because that guy surely always came to me and said, man, he said, you surprised me, B. I thought you were going to jail years ago. He like all that dumb stuff you used to do, but that's life. It happens, right? So it is what it is. And then today, of course, it was hot, humid. Now it's raining, it was dumping like crazy. It's got thunderstorm around 4 o'clock, flooding, all that, right? But hey, the first thing I played was a big air crash in India where 241 people died, but 1 man survived. Just one. I said, dang, he survived that. Hey, this guy is amazing, Frank. What do you think, Frank? I think he was British too, come to think about it. Speaking of that, I will say this, I saw a lot of Hispanics on base, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, these were these Hispanic soldiers. I'm like, wait a minute now. I'm like, what's going on here? I was a little shocked about that one. I ain't say I was shocked, but I mean, yeah. I
know what that means, man.
That means a lot of them enlisted in the military. That's what that means.
Yep.
That mean to me.
Yeah.
So, hold on. I mean, a lot of them enlisted in the military, and that means that we gotta be careful. Right? You know what I mean? What I mean just mean that you got to know what's up, what time it is.
Yeah.
Now, we had a lot of protests in Richmond yesterday too. Some protests or some show tests, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it, right? But they had a military parade yesterday, and they this thing called No Kings or whatever. Right? I said, now wait a minute, man. Now you go back and look at this parade, right? And some of it, and you'll see they had the robot dog in the parade. I said, well, that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of imagery in this parade, bro. Okay, so just things to look at in that sense of the word. Okay, just be careful. You know what you know time it is. So I just want to let you know that hey, I'm glad that you was able to call you Friday, because I was like, man. At first I was like, man, you know what? We just got to chalk this one to the game, right? But it has been a lot of mystery. Matter of fact, how about this Friday night? I was supposed to call you back, right? But a guy called me, and we were talking about security in the club and all that, like the day before. Remember we were talking about something like that? And I was telling you about people lifting people through the floor and stuff because getting in fights and stuff. How about the same night? It was a guy named Ty. I found out he was big time security guard. There used to be a club downtown Richmond, across the street from Seeker Center. These are called the Mansion of 534. He actually passed, but I found out he had been in the hospital since April, probably, or June or May or something, right? He got a big security guard. I was like, man, it's crazy we were talking about security earlier, and then the guy passed. So that was two people I knew in one day. Then somebody else, their brother. So that was three. I said, look, it's getting kind of crazy. So I'm telling you that a lot of people passing like crazy like right now. So just be prepared, because you could be at your highest point one moment, and you could be like a hot air balloon that just almost get deflated the next. Like the helium just popped out, right? The good thing is, when you're able to think and just smooth out, you're gonna be okay through adversity. And I did tell them kids about adversity that day when I couldn't talk about the adversity if I wasn't able to, I would say, use diversity and use that thing to my own mind. So don't get too high, don't get too low. You can be as happy one day, and then just always try to stay in that middle ground right there, like, and that way you close the deck and you say you got a child, I just went to the game.
Well, that's facts right there.
Because I actually dealt with that a lot when I was younger. You know, when I was 15 years old, I was 16 years old, I forgot I was playing basketball at the park, and the guy got mad and shot the guy right on the spot. Blood on the court, dead, right? That was right. So you gotta understand, man. Death is death. Car accident. Unexpectedly, it happens. Do we have to die like that? No. But at the same time, that's just how it is, man. And that's just the way it is. So we have to, always think, because we're not cats. We don't live 9 lives. You only live once.
Right.
So who am I to tell you, right? But nevertheless, that was just the spiel for the week. Now, let's pull this up.
Are stressed about their own finances. 3 out of 4 said their incomes are not keeping up with inflation. That's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. And starting tonight in our series, The Cost of Living, you'll hear some of their stories in their own words. First, a single mother of 3, ages 1, 4, and 8, trying to make ends meet on a teacher's salary of $37,000.
Sweet, we're ready to rock. My name is Michelle Boisjoli. I am 37 years old. I am a teacher in St. Louis County, Minnesota. Since the price of eggs, bacon has gone up, we've done a lot more cereal. Eat it with your spoon. You gotta stay safe in the car, right? I've had to take on a second job just because everything has gotten so expensive. Hi, baby girl. I've been a teacher since about 2008. I love my brown shoes. I love my brown shoes. It's definitely not something that people go into for the money. They go into it because they love it, which is why so many of us do have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. But it takes multiple incomes to survive in this economy. I just left work and now I am gonna go door dashing for a couple hours. It looks like our first delivery. We have to go to Burger King. Thank you. So this first one is $4.50 guaranteed, and then sometimes we get tips. I always grew up thinking about the stereotypical American dream where you own a house and you have a yard to play in, and I think that dream is dying. I try to make every dollar count. A lot of the time I'll just wait to feed myself until the end and then just eat whatever leftovers the kids haven't touched. Put your cute little bib on. A lot of the people making the decisions for us are wealthy, don't know what it's like to work 2 jobs, don't know what it's like to have to pay for gas with quarters, and yet they're making the decisions for us. If they knew a little bit about the average person who is fighting every day to make ends meet, I think that maybe they would make decisions that were actually helpful for the average person. Good night, sister. Come here.
Here's the latest on inflation. The government reported today that in the past 12 months, prices rose just under 2.5%.
In our special series, The Cost of Living, Americans are sharing their struggles to make ends meet. Tonight, a rookie cop in Connecticut, married, 3 kids, household income $120,000, and looking to buy a house.
This is his story in his own words.
My name is Anthony Bartolini. I'm a police officer in Waterbury, Connecticut. I'm 29 years old. I've been a police officer about a year. Let's go. But every day is a struggle for me too. If I still have to worry about my next paycheck, where my next meal is coming from, I'm just like anybody else out there. Good morning, it's Officer Bartolini. I'm patrolling streets because you want to make sure that if you see something, you can do something about it. Dispatch 1. So I've been looking at houses pretty much every day. I wanted to buy one for a few years. To put 20% down on our house, that's a lot of money. Even I can't do it, working double shifts. In today's economy, even if I got a second job, wouldn't be able to afford it.
How was your day?
Good. My wife Sarah and I were waiting for our daughter to get off the bus. We'll eat something real fast, then we'll go look at a couple homes.
Oh, there's a bone in here? There is, yes.
There's a bone, yeah. We've been having trouble finding the right home because the bigger the house you want, the more expensive it gets. And we need the room for the family, the dogs. They need a yard to run around in.
Turn right on George Street.
I like the neighborhood. Seems quiet. There she is.
Hello, come on in. We have 3 bedrooms on this level, 2 full baths.
It's a very nice house.
What price point are we looking at?
Probably around 300 to 325.
There has been a low supply, but there's still a demand. It's a very competitive market. So it checked all the boxes, but too bad somebody put an offer in before we got here.
Oh, if it falls through, we'll come back and revisit it.
I love you.
You do get defeated knowing that homes are so expensive after looking today. I hope people in power, they change the price of things. There has to be a way to make everything go cheaper. There's no way they can just keep going up and up and up, because then people won't be able to live. It's just so expensive. No one will be able to afford anything.
Inflation has been moderating in recent months, but prices are still nearly 24% higher than at the start of the pandemic.
In our series, The Cost of Living, Americans are telling us about their struggles to make ends meet, and we conclude with a widow on Social Security. After rent, she has less than $200 to live on.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty.
My name is Olivia Marino Carlson. I'm 70 years old. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I cannot afford to retire. I live off of Social Security, which does not pay all my bills. That's why I'm looking for work. My husband was a mechanic. He developed MS. I took care of him until he passed away. I was working retail, lifting boxes. It was very hard. I'm going to the library to use the internet to look for work. I did not think that being 70 would be like this. I'm asking if there's any positions or work positions available.
So let me play this. Because this is, I've been talking to people a lot. People been telling me a lot of things they've been doing. Buy now, pay later, all this other nonsense they've been doing. Right? And find it.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a...
Buy now, pay later companies now have over $500 billion worth of debt on their books, according to estimates from industry groups. The exact number is harder to track than something like total credit card debt, because these companies are not required to record their lending practices in the same way. Either way, this is an especially concerning amount of money, because by design, buy now, pay later loans should only last 8 weeks before they are paid off in a predictable installment plan. But new research and company confessions have revealed what you probably already knew. People aren't really paying off their Klarna account. They are just using it as a new way to make their month go a little bit further at the end of their money. Most of the largest buy now, pay later companies are barely 10 years old now. But in that time, they have been able to scale rapidly thanks to a combination of generous investor funding, a tech bro attitude towards regulations, and a service that was appealing to people who didn't want to go through a formal credit application process, for whatever reason. The argument was that these companies weren't giving out loans. They were just letting people split up their purchase into smaller payments made over a set time period. And if everything was done properly, the users wouldn't even need to pay interest. But now, after giving out quick, easy not loans to anybody who could download an app, the companies are pulling a shocked Pikachu that their not debt is not getting paid back. Now, consumer debt defaults are on the rise everywhere, but BNPL has its own risks that could make this a whole lot worse than people not being able to split up their Costco hot dog into 4 easy payments.
Why is paying for so addictive?
I'm using Klarna to pay for these Chris Brown tickets. I don't care what nobody says.
Being under financial stress takes a lot of time, a lot of planning.
I'm Afterpay's #1 consumer, #1 fan.
I don't know what it is about a pay in full, but I can just never resist.
I will Afterpay it because I feel less guilt.
On the surface, buy now, pay later services are not a drastically different financial product to a credit card. Both let you make purchases now and let you pay it off later. Both offer interest-free periods if you make your payments on time, and both have been embraced by companies that want to sell you shit because they make it easier to spend money you don't have. Now, it's true that both of these financing options have extremely high interest rates and fees if you don't make your payments on time. And while buy now, pay later companies tend to try to hide these risks, I hope it isn't shocking to you that delinquent, unsecured consumer debt is considered very risky, and therefore attracts a high interest rate. But for financial tools that seem so similar at face value, there is one big difference that people tend to overlook. According to data collected by the Fed, credit cards are some of the most profitable products that banks offer to their customers. Even including their interest-free purchase periods, the banks still make returns 4 times higher on credit card lending than other products like mortgages, commercial lending, and traditional personal loans. Buy now, pay later companies, on the other hand, have struggled to turn a profit at all. In fact, most of them have been making spectacular losses. According to public financials, Affirm lost nearly $500 million last year, which was actually an improvement on the year before, where they lost nearly a full $1 billion. Other companies like Afterpay, Klarna, and PayPal's Pay in 4 are harder to get data on because they are either private companies that don't have to publicly disclose their financials, or they were acquired by other companies, which mixes in their losses with profits from other parts of the business. Klarna has raised a lot of capital from the ever-reliable SoftBank to scale its business operations. The company did claim to have some quarters of profitability thanks to their creative use of AI to cut down on customer support expenses. But a lot of that was actually thanks to low borrowing costs, a generous interpretation of how reliably their customers would repay their installments, and ignoring everything else that it takes to run the business. The company's actual profit for the quarter was a nearly $100 million loss, doubling from the same time last year. In the supposed golden age of buy now, pay later, the industry leader has had to put off its IPO because it's not clear if the business is even viable. These losses are occurring across the industry despite the fact that these companies typically take a larger cut of sales from merchants and charge higher effective interest rates on delinquencies. Because, oh yeah, even if you don't personally use any of these services, you are still paying the price for them. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how a predatory business undermining the finances of hundreds of millions of users across the globe can't even make money for themselves. This week's video is sponsored by Odoo. Odoo is a powerful business management platform that brings everything together: CRM, sales, inventory, accounting, even manufacturing, into one seamless system. Their suite of apps helps you work smarter, not harder. Whether you're automating invoices, managing real-time inventory, or building a custom app with Odoo Studio, it's all integrated and incredibly easy to use. We're teaming up with Odoo on something big, and while we're keeping the details under wraps for now, it's all about showing how creative and flexible this platform really is. From streamlining your business to bringing your ideas to life, Odoo has tools for just about everything, and we're putting them to the test in a way we think you'll love. Stay tuned for the reveal, and in the meantime, try any Odoo app for free, no credit card needed, using the link in the description. The way that buy now, pay later companies were supposed to make their money was by charging a higher than normal merchant fee from the retailers that used them as a payment option. Mass market credit card processors like Square, Stripe, Shopify, or PayPal usually charge merchants around 1.5% to 3.5% on sales to take credit card payments, according to data from NerdWallet and the company's own information portals. Buy now, pay later companies have started charging as much as 8% on sales to average retailers, according to a report by Merchant Cost Consulting. Larger companies like Walmart, Amazon, and DoorDash can negotiate these rates individually, but those agreements are largely kept private. For many retailers, 8% represents their entire profit margin after costs and expenses on a sale, so paying that much to a buy now, pay later company is untenable. The problem is that the merchant agreements of buy now, pay later companies forbids retailers from passing along these fees to customers, so they have an option: either make no profit on sales through platforms like Klarna, or raise prices for everybody to cover this new expense. The third option would be to not offer these payment options at all, but companies don't want to do that for 3 simple reasons. The first is that buy now, pay later customers are the perfect kind of customers. According to industry data, they are much younger than formal credit card users, spend more impulsively, and have purchasing power thanks to being able to split up their payments. A report published by the Harvard Business Review found that after consumers started using buy now, pay later services,
so this baby's about buy now, pay later.
But what, I mean, people that damn broke, bro.
Yeah, and they want to do stuff that they might don't want to do. Yeah, I mean, they want to do, like she said, I want to buy
Chris Brown. Wow.
Like one lady said,
it's like people are doing that shit for like hot dogs, like regular food and just regular shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Damn. Keep people in debt.
Yep. It's that's just how it is right now. But matter of fact, got one more on that.
And Doug.
Okay, here's what you want to do. Save hundreds when Liberty Mutual.
New statistics are painting a larger picture about the shifting state of the economy, particularly for young people. Tickets for this year's Coachella Music Festival ran for more than $1,000 per weekend. And a new Billboard report found more than 80,000 attendees, or roughly 60%, opted for buy now, pay later plans. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, these plans are becoming more commonplace at music festivals and concerts. So you purchase the ticket without paying the full amount up front and split it into smaller payments that are usually, but not always, interest-free. Forbes senior contributor Jack Kelly recently wrote about the growth.
Now, I know about this on a big scale. I'm going to tell you how I know about this. Because I know somebody, a couple people that did this. Women, actually. Matter of fact, one guy, because him and the girl went to one of these concerts. If you want to sit in the front row, baby, you might pay like $1,000, man. Maybe. For 2 people. Maybe more. I'll be damned. Look here. Last week. But I couldn't do it last week. I was busy. But Al Alvin had a birthday party in Hampton, which ain't no matter out the road, right? You got people paying $500 a section to get in that jump. I'm paying $500 for that. Only way I do that if I had about 40 guys and we all put up $500. I mean, put it up.
Right.
And we don't take 40 guys to do that. What am I? No, hold on. 5. Actually, 20. We can all pay $20 a piece. No, $25 a piece. Yeah, we could have did that. Yeah, but they had a little booster there too. But I'm just saying, sometimes some of this stuff is actual hard shit, but sometimes people be buying just crazy shit. It's a back and forth thing here.
Growth of buy now, pay later plans among young people and what it says about consumer mentality. And he joins us now. So, Jack, is the growing use of buy now, pay later a cultural shift or an economic one? Are people opting for these plans just maxed out financially?
Yes. You know, I'm so glad we have this conversation. And I got to be honest, I have 2 Gen Z kids, so my heart is with them. And so I want to be clear about that. What I feel is that what's happening now, the two economics and cultural shifts are intertwined together, because this cohort, they have college debt that they're trying to get, dig into it and try to get past the debt. They have high inflation, high costs, and now they're saying, what can I do? And what I notice about this group is that they're saying, hey, I'm concerned I'm not going to be able to get out of my parents' house and rent an apartment. I can't get a house. How can I get married and have a family when I can't even get a job, or I can't get a job that can pay for all this? So there's a lot of pressure put on this group. So what I think is happening when you're going to Coachella, Lollapalooza, or what have you, it's very easy for older generations to say, hey, you know what? Buck up, be strong, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But yet they're saying, how do we do that? This is too hard.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here, because the old school mentality would say, you can't afford it, don't go. Is it FOMO that is saying, I gotta go?
Yes, FOMO, but yet what is YOLO? You only live once. I think what's happening is this cohort are saying, hey, I can't get this house, I can't get this car, but I can have an experience. So if I could do buy now, pay later, and I can get this experience and go to Coachella, all right, I'm still in my parents' house, but at least I have a really cool experience. And this is, I think, the dynamic that we're working with. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. But I think this group is trying to make the best of it.
So what are the downsides? I mean, is it that you do so many buy now, pay laters that you don't realize, and before you know it, you've got these crazy monthly payments?
100%, yes. Because I think what happens, and I don't want to point fingers at any company, what have you, but it's that feature creep that after time, if you're going to keep buying things, you have to pay it off. So you have to worry, how long is it going to go till people fall into debt and then make their situation even worse than it is right now?
We got 30 seconds left. What do you hope people take away most from your reporting?
What I hope is that somehow we could figure out a way to help this young group, particularly Gen Zs and young millennials, to get good quality jobs, to bring down inflation, to bring down costs, and to just help them to do what you did and I did, when we had it a little easier, to kind of have that American dream, to get get a home, have a family, have a car, whatever it may be that they're interested in. And right now they're having a very hard time doing this.
I'm still a millennial, Jack. I don't know. I mean, look, it's hard out there. Jack, thank you so much. We do hope you'll come back and continue this conversation. Fascinating.
Open your latest.
So just go to show you how things can go.
I'm telling you, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like, what you think about, I mean, they talk about this is the worst, it's worse since the pandemic, which it is. Why no stimulus checks, though? Why are they not issuing, why are they not trying to put nothing back into the economy? You know what I'm saying? You're just going to leave it like this and let it get worse? But that makes sense, because that's more profit for the bankers and the lobbyists. And look, they're looking for that, and the tax cuts and the less regular and the deregulation. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's all. See, that's their deal. You know what I'm saying? That's the politicians' deal with them. To them, is to deregulate them and to give them tax breaks all day.
You're right.
And help them get that much more richer by taking their business offshore, man. It's like, damn, man, we be lost, man. These protests are distracting. Now they talking about they protest in all 50 states. There ain't no damn immigrants. There ain't no Mexicans in all 50 states. Why would you want to protest in all 50 states? And some of these states are sanctuary states. So why would you even be going hard like that in every state? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Let's keep it going.
The U.S. is facing the widest gap on record between the number of home buyers and home sellers in the country, creating an opportune market for those currently looking to buy a house. According to real estate tracker Redfin, as of April, there were an estimated 1.9 million home sellers in the U.S. and only about 1.5 million home buyers. That marks nearly 34% more sellers than buyers. To put that in perspective, there were just 6.5% more sellers than buyers last year and more buyers than sellers in 2023. Now, Redfin found that the areas with the biggest gaps between sellers and buyers included cities in Florida and Texas, Nashville, Las Vegas, and Phoenix, Arizona. And that's where we find Jeremy Duda. He is a Phoenix reporter for Axios who recently wrote about the effect of this in the Phoenix Valley housing market. He joins us now. Good to see you, sir. So you noted in your piece there are twice as many home sellers as buyers in the Phoenix Valley area. Why is this gap so significant, and what does it mean for home prices and housing shortages?
In terms of why it is so significant, hard to say. That it could be that we're seeing the market just kind of cool off a little. I mean, the Phoenix area has long been known for very cheap housing. It's drawn people here for decades. That's why we've been one of the fastest growing cities in America. Housing has become far less affordable over the past decade or so. So that might just be kind of a cooling off effect we're seeing. The effects what that could mean for folks here in the Phoenix metro area, the Valley of the Sun, that could be, I think hopefully for home buyers, lower prices, things coming back to earth a little bit more. We've already seen a trend of not necessarily prices going down, but folks who had been starting off with these exorbitant asking prices, maybe coming back down to earth, coming back to reality a little bit and saying, okay, this is a little bit much. I'm not going to be able to sell for this much. So for home buyers, folks who've been priced out of the market, hopefully that means things will go down a bit.
I mean, Jeremy, I remember I'm a Sun Devil. I went to Arizona State, and I remember moving to college during the housing market crash all the way back in 2008, 2009. Can you give us some context on the housing market in the Phoenix area and how it has changed in recent years? Because it undergoes so many changes, it seems.
Well, we got, as you probably remember, and I'm an Arizona Wildcat, so I'll try not to hold the Sun Devil thing against you. But if you remember, we got hit harder than just about anyone in that housing crash in 08, 09. And because we'd been building housing at such a rapid rate. And since then, especially probably since 2012, 2013 or so, or probably really since the crash, if you want to go back that far, that is slowed down a lot. And there's a lot of different reasons, and kind of depends on who you ask, why it is, whether.
So this is the deal. I just bring it up because I got a guy that's a realtor. That he just became a realtor. He gonna work with me one day to promote his real estate thing. So there's just something to think about there. So hopefully he does well, but it may not be. So, y'all been talking about a lot of war and things and all that stuff, ain't you?
Hi, I'm Alex.
I'm Jane. And I'm his mom.
This is expensive time.
Well, if I was a stock market, you're a big time stock market. Hey, what's up? You're a big time stock market. Wouldn't it be good to invest in Palantir?
Real good time.
Palantir is holding strong at new all-time highs, but it has some investors questioning their playbook.
The stock is more than overdue for a correction.
Should I take profits now?
When a stock is priced to perfection the way Palantir is, it doesn't take much to move the stock up or down.
Market Beat's Chris Markoch dives into the headlines and public perception that still has volatility looming over this explosive stock.
The floor for Palantir is now significantly higher.
But is Palantir's superior software enough to keep this stock soaring higher? Let's dive in. Chris, so great to have you back on the channel talking about your favorite stock, and a stock we have covered a lot on this channel. But it's time for an update on Palantir as the stock once again heads for all-time highs, even after some controversial news over the past 2 weeks. So Chris, we are going to dive into the details of the stock, looking at the financials, looking at the PE ratios, all of those things to give investors an idea of what to do with Palantir if you are already a shareholder.
The guy gonna tell you right here
that a few people get wealthy, and if you said platitudes that were obviously stupid, you could.
You're getting wealthy off of killing Palestinians. With Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
You're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And you know.
How do you sleep at night?
Well, if you
Shame on you.
do, you want to hear my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So. I think the primary cause of death to Palestinians. Okay, do you want to hear the answer, or do you want to yell? Well, you don't want to hear an answer? Obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will.
Because you are killing my people and you're justifying it because of Hamas or anyone else.
Can we get security up there?
Your AI and your technology from Palantir kills Palestinians.
Mostly terrorists. That's true.
Yeah, so basically they have security and all that. They call them kill lists or whatever. Let's see. Palantir total. I tell you what, let's pull this up.
Uh-oh. Damn.
This is Twit. So the Google-Apple proposal is, I think, in many ways superior to and more trustworthy than something a government would propose. And this is everything's flipped on its head these days. But it's pretty clear governments, or at least it's certainly a reasonable fear that governments might use this kind of data gathering, just as they used the Patriot Act long after 9/11, to invade our personal privacy and security. It's a great opportunity. And I think with companies like Google and Apple, whom I think you can reasonably say not only have great technical expertise, but also have a great interest in security and privacy. Certainly Apple does. You might debate about Google's interest in privacy, but I think they do, and it's tip-top security experts. I think I trust something from Google and Apple more than I would trust anything offered by France or Germany or the U.S. government. Ian, you disagree?
Actually, I kind of agree and disagree. Apple and Google, I actually trust to be reasonably safe with their data, because that is, with Apple's case, that's their selling point. With Google's place, that's kind of a commitment they've made. The one company name that we're missing out of this is Palantir. Palantir has been given contracts by the US government and by EU states as well to do roughly the same sort of thing.
My point exactly. I would much rather have Apple and Google do it than Palantir do it.
Well, exactly. I mean, Palantir have got all the morality and self-restraint of a Labrador left with an unguarded roast chicken. I mean, they will take all that stuff and pile it into whatever they can, keep it, copy it. I don't trust them further than I could throw him. Instantly, where is Peter Thiel, by the way? He's been very quiet this last month.
I'm sure
he's down in New
his
Zealand.
Missile silo or somewhere. Yeah, a lot of, it's funny. New Zealand has done a very good job thanks to their stellar PM. And even before this, last year, we were talking about the fact, I think I was told by one of our wealthy community members that his peers had already all purchased places in New Zealand for hidey holes. I think they were more worried about world unrest and nuclear demolition and climate change. But now maybe it turns out not a bad place to be if you have a virus going after you too.
Well, did you hear the story about the VC who actually purchased one of these places in New Zealand?
No.
Flew down there just before the ban, got to the bunker and couldn't remember what the entry code was and couldn't get tech support to let him in. He was hanging around outside. I mean, it's the I've got a New Zealand.
Basically, what he's saying is Palantir, they got the contact trace and all that. Let's play this right quick. No, let's play this. Now, here that plane crash. That was that plane crash. All right. So they say FBI raids finds enough fentanyl to kill Georgia's population 4 times.
This is video you will see only on Fox 5. The FBI in the Atlanta area making a major drug bust. Federal agents say they stopped millions of dollars of hard drugs from hitting the streets. The feds making that announcement just a few hours ago. Fox 5's Tyler Fingert is live at the FBI Atlanta headquarters with the story in DeKalb County and the exclusive video from a neighbor, Tyler.
Yeah, Christine, good afternoon to you. Federal agents say they found guns, drugs, and a lot of cold hard cash at 3 different locations in the Atlanta area earlier this month. They say it represents the largest fentanyl bust in state history. It was quite the early morning wake-up call in a South Fulton neighborhood as heavily armed FBI agents swarmed a home on Wolftail Court.
When you see this on TV, you never expect that it will happen in front of your house.
Candace Barnett lives next to the home that was raided around 6 a.m. last Thursday. Her family's surveillance cameras captured the shocking scene. What do you think looking at it again?
When I saw it originally and now I'm seeing it again, that's just something you can't unsee.
The feds wanted to search the home of Bartholomew Keaton Harrelson. They breached his door, and a few minutes after ordering him to come out, he did. Turn around. Walk back. The South Fulton home was one of 3 locations tied to Harrelson, a convicted felon. The other 2 raids took place in Douglas County and Atlanta. Investigators say they found more than 550 pounds of illegal drugs.
This was a major drug trafficking operation. The FBI and DEA together seized approximately 750,000 pills. These pills contained either fentanyl, cocaine, or methamphetamine.
During the searches, officials say they also found pill presses to create counterfeit pills, about $150,000 cash, and a piece of unique jewelry. Agents also found more than 24 guns, including a machine gun. They say Harrelson was prepared to protect his operation. He faces 3 federal charges, including possession with intent to distribute controlled substances.
It is alarming to go into a residence or in the garage or wherever that particular area and find this amount of drugs, especially fentanyl.
They found multiple types of drugs in pill and powder form. Specifically, investigators say they found over 56 kilos of fentanyl. Agents say it found enough to kill everyone in Georgia at least 4 times.
This quantity of drugs doesn't get manufactured here in the United States, right? So in that fashion, yes, he was being supplied by the cartels.
And agents say they found over $9 million worth of drugs. They say that Harrelson faces at least 40 years in prison if he's convicted, and up to life in prison. There was also one other interesting find during their searches. Agents found a book, and I want to read that title to you right now. They say it was called How to Avoid Federal Drug Conspiracy and Firearms Charges. Interesting read there, probably. We're live in DeKalb County this afternoon. Tyler Fingert, Fox 5 News.
Wow, what a massive bust, Tyler. Thanks so much.
I'm no typical politician. I'm a
And time for a segment from our CBS News Confirmed team, the unit here at the network that breaks down fact and fiction. After 10 inmates escaped a New Orleans prison, authorities use facial recognition software to help locate and arrest one of the escapees. But as facial recognition has become a more common tool, groups like the ACLU have raised concerns about its use. Anna Schechter, who covers crime and safety for CBS News, breaks it all down for us.
It's great to be with you, Liz. So this case in New Orleans is really interesting because the actual cameras that were used to detect 2 of the escaped inmates are extremely high-tech cameras that are moving around 360 and they can zoom in on different faces all around and even detect a face from 700 feet away. So while police departments across the country, in fact, most of them do use some form of facial recognition, it's not this extremely high resolution imagery that can match a suspect with somebody that walks by the camera. So what's interesting about New Orleans is the Louisiana State Police actually fed in the mugshots of the 10 escaped prisoners so that these specialized cameras, about 200 of them around the city of New Orleans, that they would be searching for those faces. And very quickly they detected 2 of them. And the way it works is the actual camera detects the match, the facial recognition match, and then an alert goes right to the cell phones of local police so that they get that information and can quickly respond. Now, one of those suspects was apprehended by local police within about an hour of detection, and the other one was apprehended the next day. The way police handled that was they knew that he had walked in a direction of an apartment complex, and then they geo-fenced around that apartment complex and zeroed in on tips coming from exactly that area. And that's how they caught the second person. So this raises questions about surveillance and facial recognition and privacy concerns. The ACLU says facial recognition is an unnecessary invasion of privacy. However, police say that it has these positive outcomes. Let's not forget, though, that before this technology had been improved, and they are still improving it, it is not perfect by any means, but prior to 2020, there were several cases, particularly African Americans, who were misidentified because of their darker complexions by facial recognition. And so that was a big problem flagged by the ACLU, and there were lawsuits prompting these tech companies that design the cameras to improve their technologies. But still, I have interviewed multiple people who, for different reasons, technology flagged to police as a suspect, and they were completely innocent. And what does that look like when an innocent person is arrested unnecessarily? That's traumatic. Sometimes cameras might detect a suspect and they get in a car and then they're pulled over at gunpoint by police. That has happened, and they had the wrong person, and that stays with an individual. So these are the real world implications of when technology is leaned on by police and makes a mistake. In the case of New Orleans, of course, those very high definition cameras and that facial recognition software did help local police apprehend 2 of those 10. Back to you, Liz.
What if you can create your own website by saying, this is what I want? With Wix, you can. First up, let's talk about AI color themes. You can get any combos you want, bold and bright, minimalist and sleek, or
Damn. I was thinking about that when I first seen that facial recognition.
And time for a segment.
So how come they didn't use that for Luigi, though? That's my question. Why did they use the facial recognition for anybody else? So when it comes down to black inmates that escaped, they want to use it now, right?
Very interesting when you think about it. Yeah. But that's another run. But I came back home to holler at you because I couldn't get to you the other day. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on. Flooding here. Hall Street, 288. Anybody in Richmond, Chesapeake area, be careful about the flooding. Saw a picture of a car. Guy had to get out of the car and try to run to safety.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of crazy, right? I'm like, yo, it's almost rain all weekend. So maybe been like in the day, man, I was outside walking and stuff and played a little bit of basketball, man, and felt like your shirt was sticking to you as humid as it was. And I said, what the hell is going on? And then about 4 o'clock, whoosh, rain, rain, rain. Some months coming up. People be careful. Relax. Don't get too up or down. anytime tragedy strikes, anything, just remember, you got help. You're not by yourself. And to people who, some people got dads here, not here. I actually wouldn't mind a day. We was at a restaurant eating, but wasn't planned. I just happened to be out, and then my sister said, "You come and get the nephew?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Yeah," and they were out eating, and I just stopped in the restaurant. They didn't have a table for me. I just sat at the bar and got me some fish, whatever. But hey, he's 86. Some people, don't have a dad anymore. You yourself included. So sometimes people think to be grateful for the people they have. Tough to say. Like I said, it was a hell of a week. Good and bad, but hey, another week in the history books, and soon later, and exactly July 16th, I'll be 38 myself. So that's how it goes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, man, shout out to information, man.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Good show, good topic, man. You can catch me at XX Frank Nitty XX. You know what I mean? And also Frank Jones 8115 on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
Let me ask you a question, man. Let me ask you a question, real quick. Now, like I told you, because like I said, I just glossed over this thing tonight. That just, what I've been talking about with people about these crazy, they building all these damn apartments around. And another apartment complex. Well, I said, damn, what the hell they build this here, right? Nevertheless, it's okay. I said, I told the guy the other day, these protests ain't, see, let's be honest with this thing. All right, look. Let's go back to 1992. When Rodney King thing happened, they put up more surveillance. They just made the deal with Palantir. I didn't even get into it tonight, but you forgot. Today is the last day, the Bilderberg meeting. They've been meeting over there in Switzerland or Sweden for the last 4 days. One of the topics they talked about was depopulation, something like that, right? War. So it's no coincidence all this stuff happened while the Bilderberg meeting. You ain't hear nobody talk about the Bilderberg. You ain't hear none of these clowns really talk about the Bilderberg meeting, but a few, right?
That's true.
So don't you think this is a major distraction? Matter of fact, one of the biggest people in the Bilderberg thing was Stacey Abrams. Her name was on there. But
what we said the other day when we was on the phone, you were saying something. You was breaking it down. You said something about
I said that if you just made a deal with Palantir to get data on people, right?
Right.
You would need some type of riot or some type of protest to enact your thing, your new toy.
Right. That makes sense.
It makes sense. I mean, but at the same time, it's deceptive because guess what? That was the conversation. You switched the conversation to the protest, but actually, to tell you the truth, the protest is actually doubling down on the agenda. But people stop talking about, they talking about the protest, but they just told you about Palantir collecting data, right? 2 weeks ago, right?
Right.
Then they told you that a couple months ago, they having this thing with Netanyahu and Trump. Well, whatever they talking about what happened in Iran and Israel, they already came and told you they're gonna back Israel anyway. So what's the deal? I mean, like, what's up?
Exactly.
So and they can say that, not only they not know about it, it doesn't matter whether you know or not. To me, if you still supplying the weapons, that means nothing to me. So, like I told people, when they make these weapons deals, what you using them? I mean, you making these people sell arms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need somebody to use your gadgets on. It's just common sense. Frank, you're not gonna buy you're not gonna buy a new PS5 or 6 or whatever the hell, and you're not gonna use it. It just would make sense, right? I mean, so that's just the way it goes. But just Just always remember, like I said, Frank, in closing, remember what I said. And I text you today. Think, Frank. Just think and relax. Just think. That's all you gotta do. And once you start thinking, you say, man, I got it. I'm gonna figure some things out. Take your time, brother.
All right, for sure. Stay up, man.
Yes, sir.
Moves.